Welcome to Tuesday Night Live with Mechanic Alliance. We have got some great stuff on the show for you and tools you didn't even know you've been using. Hard to believe, but trust us, I didn't know that these existed. So, now we all know that there's something out there that exists that we've used that we didn't even know we've used. I know that's confusing as heck. Anyway, before we get started, Marv, tell us some news. We got some great things rolling.
Oh, we got some really great news going. Of course, we're helping techs across the country. We're helping them find jobs. We're helping them with training. We're helping all of that. We have owners that are reaching out to us, and these are good owners that are asking for help. And we have a program that's just rolling out in our training deal that Eric and I have been working diligently on today for our owners, our business owner vault, as it's called, on our Attract Well. And we are setting that up, and that's going to be for, even if you're going to go on your own, it's a business owner vault you can go into, and you can learn a lot about HR. You can learn a lot about funding, pitching for an investor, all sorts of stuff. And especially when you get employees, the important part of knowing the things you can and can't do today, because there's quite a difference of what it used to be.
That's true. Schools used to have the discipline device that we cannot talk about.
Yeah, I got it. I got it many times growing up.
Anyway, so it looks like Kevin Meyer grabs a coveted top comment on the group.
Leave it to Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, thank you. Zach, you're here. Thank you. You guys
in rock. His new hat, too.
Yeah, I hear they both got new hats. Anyways, so we have a great guest here on my whatever side this is. He's on my left because I'm looking at the camera, whatever else. I'm pointing to my left side. We have Dennis Flannery of ATEQ TPMS division here with us tonight. And, this is where it comes down to. Guys, did you know that you've actually handled ATEQ tools and maybe not even known it? This is what we're talking about. So, Dennis, give us a background, who you are and what you do and all those great things.
Well, first off, I've been in the automotive aftermarket for over 40 years. The last 20, I have been in the sales of for some small companies like Bosch Diagnostics, as well as a small company called Vitronics, Bartec TPMS, and now sales manager with for the last almost 3 years of ATEQ TPMS tools.
Very nice. So the ATEQ, a little bit of background. ATEQ is huge. They cover everything you could possibly imagine, from the medical device world to the industrial side to EV battery casing leak testing, because we don't want those things to leak. They're nasty as they are. So we've got, sorry, choking on my spit over here. Goodness. Dennis, it happens from time to time. It happens, even to the best of us. So Dennis is with the TPMS division, and tell us that interesting tidbit you told me about ATEQ and TPMS and who they make all their tools for.
Well, ATEQ is a truly a global company. I'll show you a little map here in a little bit of just some of the different places that we do business in. But if you've handled a Snap-on TPMS 3, TPMS 4, the new TPMS 5, the new Matco TPMS tool, the Mac tool, the Bosch tool, you've already handled an ATEQ tool, just to name a few. We supply all Stellantis or Chrysler in North America with their dealership TPMS tool, as well as all General Motors in North America and Central America and Asia with the dealership tool for all GM dealerships.
Oh. Wowzer.
Just to name a few for hand tools, we are in the industrial side of the manufacturing plants, whether it be Ford Motor Company, whether it be General Motors, whether it be Mercedes-Benz, as well as BMW, doing a lot of work with Porsche over in Europe, Toyota here in the U.S., as well as Honda North America. So, yeah, we do a business with a lot of OEs, and this is one thing I will say about ATEQ TPMS tools is that it's not reverse engineered.
Okay.
We're getting the information direct because we're working with the OEM manufacturers. So we get that diagnostic data directly from them. they test and they validate it to meet their specifications before it even ends up in an aftermarket tool.
Wow. That's, rigorous testing. That's a lot of.
Yeah. The average spreadsheet is not enough just to hold the database. I don't care if you go clear out to ZZ or ZZZ and drop clear down to, 1200 or whatever it is on a spreadsheet, however big it goes.
That's huge by large.
Yes. I mean, it's that, because you look at that, because again, when we start talking about the different universal sensors that are out there in the marketplace that anybody could use, we've got to be able to catalog all that data. And just to give you an idea, when we first started with TPMS, all we had was OEs, and then we had a couple of sensor manufacturers making universal. Wow. Now there are 28 different brands of universal sensors out on the market. Probably by the end of the year, it'll be 30.
That's huge. And just so you know, that's the one, the only Dr. Doug Snow appears over my shoulder.
He's kind of wearing the same T-shirt
nice
there.
Shirt.
Hey, yeah, I like the shirt there, Doug. Yeah.
Total backstory. Doug works with ATEQ on the medical device side, and Dennis is on the TPMS side. And since I'm working really close proximity wise to Doug, he says, "Hey, I got the guy that's the guy for TPMS. Do you want to talk to him?" It's like, yeah, yes, I want to talk to him. So that's how I got hooked up with Dennis over there. And I still can't get this right. One side and then the other. Who knows?
I know it's and when you move it, it changes too. So
yep. So that's how I got to know, got in contact with Dennis, and now we're here in front of the entire Mechanic Alliance and the interwebs and all that good stuff, and this will live on forever and ever. Ain't that great? Absolutely. Don't screw up.
There you go.
So you've got a little bit of a PowerPoint for us, Dennis. You want to jump into that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if I can make this all work here.
Yeah. Yeah. And Matt King says, Buenos tardes. Yes, it is good evening. Let's see here. Who else needs shout outs? Yeah. Post in the comments if you need a shout out tonight. Come on, don't all jump at once now.
Let's see. There we go.
So are you seeing any new technology or any new things coming down the pike for us on the TPMS side, Dennis, or is it going to be kind of business as usual?
Actually, one of the big conversations that we're seeing now is Bluetooth. We're going to see the new BLE sensors coming out.
Cool.
And that's probably the bigger thing. The other thing is for one of the other things to be thinking about, commercial. I was literally on the phone today with Peterbilt.
Okay.
Volvo, Freightliner, Kenworth will all be starting to install probably 2023, 2024 model year as a standard option on all vehicles.
Oh, okay.
And that's a lot of TPMS sensors. I figure you got 18 of them front to back.
At the minimum. I mean, if you get into some of those iron ore haulers that run up there, up the highways, up on 96 and 696, up and around the Detroit, Michigan area, up to the UP, you're liable to see 43 tires on a tractor trailer.
Whoa.
Wow.
Literally, I stopped and counted it one day just because I had to know how many, inquiring minds needed to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Man, that is a lot of sensors. I mean, that's a lot of technology just spinning around in circles.
Yeah.
Exactly. But again, the idea of it is that, when TPMS really originally rolled out, it was federally mandated. We had a 3-year phase-in period, 06, 07, and by 08 model year, 100% all the vehicles, passenger car and light truck, had to have TPMS on it. And the hue and cry from the automotive world was just horrendous. Everybody hated it. Nobody liked it, would not embrace it, and just told people it was a low tire light and ignore it. you know.
Or it could be like me. I took mine out.
Yeah, that's not uncommon, you know.
No.
But the idea of it is that one, I drive up and down the highways, even when I'm here just locally, and I see people stopped on the side of the road, and I know I can take a look at the car and see that it's a 2010 and newer, and they've got a flat tire. There's no reason for a consumer or vehicle owner to be on the side of the interstate with a flat tire. Because if they pay attention to the warning system, they'll get off the highway. I mean, case in point, I've got an 18-foot stock trailer that has TPMS on it.
Yeah.
I installed it, but the point of it is that when I'm driving down the highway hauling that stock trailer, whether I'm hauling livestock in or I'm hauling 2 or 3 lawnmowers because I got to go mow 5 acres, you don't feel that tire when it starts getting low. And then it's a catastrophic failure, and you've tore up a fender, tore up a wheel. A lot of damage can cause for just monitoring the low tire. You know, so it's money saving.
I've lost a tire on my 24-foot enclosed behind my motorhome, and when it's nearly 60 feet behind me, I don't even notice. It's when people start flashing their lights, and it's like, I guess I've got a problem. I should probably pull over and at least look to see what's going on.
Yeah.
There's a company that actually makes a system that you can put on your trailer and monitor it from your cockpit or your motorhome.
Nice. Is that like thread onto the valve stem, or does it replace the valve stem?
It replaces the valve stem.
Okay.
So because that's the system that I use in my 18-foot stock trailer.
Okay.
Works really well. It will go up to 105 psi. So if you've got the low grade G tires on that trailer, no big issue.
Yeah. So Zach's posted an interesting question. He says, "Do you sell universal programmable sensors?"
No, I do not. The reason why I do not, there's too many of them on the market already, and we work with all of the sensor manufacturers. So you can take your pick, literally, whether it be Schrader Easy Sensor, Hamilton. Again, the list goes on. You can't buy a sensor at O'Reilly's. Well, there's probably one you could buy at O'Reilly's. You can't buy one at Advanced Auto Parts or Napa that I don't do.
Wow. That is impressive. And even Matt King says apparently 2021 and up dually trucks can display the PSI in each tire now instead of just turning on a light.
Yes, that is correct. And matter of fact, starting in 2018, we're back to your trailer situation, Eric.
Yeah.
If you order a new 2018, starting in 2018 and newer, you order a new truck, Silverado truck, with the factory tow package on it. It actually comes with 2 sensors in the glove box.
Wow.
So it can be installed on the trailer. Once you make the initial connection on the electrical connection on the trailer, the truck realizes that and says, okay, where's the sensors? It automatically starts going looking for it. And you can spend 45 minutes going through the original initialization process, or you can take an ATEQ TPMS tool and have it done in 10 minutes.
Nice.
2019, Chrysler started it. 2020, Ford started doing it as well. So 3/4, any half ton, 3/4 ton, or 1 ton. GM actually allows you to, let's just say, a 1 ton dually. So not only would you have 6 sensors on the ground for the truck, you could have up to an additional 12 sensors. So a triple axle tandem dually trailer, so you could haul let's just say a 580 case backhoe on it. So it could monitor a total of 18 sensors on the display, monitoring the pressures on the dash of the truck.
That's wow.
And to go through that initialization process for those additional 12 tires, you would spend 3.5 hours with the going through the owner's manual and deflating and airing the tires back up to initialize them, when you can use the ATEQ TPMS tool, and it walks you right through the steps and have it done even on 12 additional tires added into that 1 ton dually in less than 15 minutes.
Awesome.
That's impressive. That's a huge time savings.
Well, exactly. Time is money, guys, and that's what we got to think about, and you'll be able to provide that service to that customer. Oh, and charge for it, because if they go back to the dealership and have it done, $1.50 to $1.75 an hour at the dealership rate, and they're gonna take that 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, being able to provide that service, making sure that your tool has that capability. If it doesn't, I'd be considering, especially if you do a lot of fleet work for companies that do have trailers, you're going to need it.
Okay. If you're out there on mobile, there's a potential market right there you ought to look at. Just saying.
You bet. Well, let me get started into here, unless there's got some more questions.
Nah, Kevin Meyer says it'd be nice in the Buick Riviera. Nah.
Yeah, well.
See, I told you, Kevin.
Put it on that of the older Rivieras. You can put the retrofit kit on it.
Yeah, it's a 1965 Buick Riviera. It's all over my social media.
No.
For guys that follow me or the Snow Family Racing page on either Facebook or YouTube. Yes, shameless plug. You can see the car. It's an absolute beautiful beast. Anyways, continue on, Dennis.
All right, just to give you an idea, here is, it's pretty much obvious what I'm showing you here, but just to give you an idea, we truly are a global company with all 4 divisions within our company. There's not a continent that we're not in. Now, again, just into the TPMS tool division, I'll break this down a little bit. We've been 19 years building handheld TPMS tools of some type over the years. We've grown to, actually, this number is a little bit off. It should be closer to 75 now. Team members scattered in 7 countries just supporting the TPMS division. We've got over 255 industrial TPMS plants using 100% ATEQ industrial equipment. We have 90% of the market share in laboratory and R&D of TPMS tools. World leader in OEM dealerships. Again, just to name a few: GM, Chrysler, Stellantis, Mercedes-Benz, Toyota North America, Honda North America. You'll find Ducati, Harley-Davidson, the new Indian motorcycle, because it's now owned by Polaris, all on an ATEQ tool. So even with motorcycles, you can do the TPMS. 99% make, model, and year accuracy globally. We're talking about that spreadsheet earlier, Eric, trying to keep all that data straight. We literally have one guy here in the United States, one guy in France, and that's all they do. Just keeping the database correct and accurate. Just because sales guys like me go out and find weird stuff to be working on and add to that database, just to give you a quick example of why this database grows literally on a daily basis. Winnebago is now building a motorhome called the National Park Edition. It starts off on a Dodge ProMaster chassis, but they didn't use the standard ProMaster van TPMS and computer system. It only took us 4 days to figure out what was going on and rewrite the software 3 times before we got it right for Winnebago. So
only 3.
But, yeah, and literally, and I'll show you a little later where I updated my tool before I went to a tool show, and my tool's already out of date. And I updated it a week ago, Monday morning. Again, the data changes constantly, and we're the only tool manufacturer that you could update your tool today, and literally it may be out of date tomorrow because of the ever increasing database changes as we add things and change things, or a sensor manufacturer adds stuff to their programmability for their universal sensors. So again, this is why when we say 99% make, model, and year accuracy globally, that's a milestone for any company.
Yeah.
90% plus OBD relearn coverage. To give you an example, an average relearn, like on my farm truck, is a 2008 Dodge Ram half-ton pickup. The relearn procedure for it is get it to 15 miles an hour, drive it for 11 minutes or more, maintaining 15 miles an hour constantly, and it'll relearn itself. That's what they consider an auto relearn. Well, if you live in a metroplex or your shop's in a metroplex area, maintaining 15 miles an hour for a constant time of 10 to 11 minutes or more may be, an act of Congress.
I'd lose my mind going that slow for that long.
Well, you can go faster than that, but the problem of it is you got stoplights. Once you slow down below 15 mile an hour, process starts all over again. So you end up having to drive out onto the freeway, which is probably 20 minutes away or 10 minutes away. Then you drive your 11 to 15 minutes, and then you got to drive back and then back to the shop again. So you could literally waste 45 minutes getting this job done just to do a tire rotation and ensure that the light is out for the customer when they pick up their vehicle. With our tools, I can literally read all 4 sensors, plug directly into the OBD2 connector, just like I was going to check for codes, and force the relearn. And by the time I pull the truck out of the bay and park it out in the parking lot, the light is out. So again, time savings.
Very much so. So, interesting question. With all the updates to the database, how are updates handled? Is that something that's typically free with the tool, or is there like a subscription model that's used, or how's that work?
Well, one of the things is whenever there's a new tool purchase, it comes with a 1, 2, or 3-year subscription, depending on what the tool is and what the promo is at the time of year that they purchase the tool. There are some that go out with 5 years of software. After the subscription runs out, yes, you can buy a 1, 2, or 3-year software subscription to extend that subscription on that tool.
Okay. That's cool. And Zach has posted another interesting question. He says he deals with sensors, let me get this right, that are 315 megahertz or 433 megahertz. With everyone being forced to have that, are they going to create another bandwidth for TPMS?
No. The next bandwidth you'll see will be BLE, but no, they're constantly, the thing of it is they can talk on the same frequency, even if they're setting, and to give you an example, I could have a 2009 Chevy Impala sitting in one bay, and sitting right next to it, I could have my 2008 Dodge pickup. They're both on 315 megahertz, but they won't interfere with each other because they're talking a different language, if you will.
That makes sense.
The protocol or the app code that's loaded onto that sensor, for the easiest way I can explain it is, it's the difference in talking Cajun English from down in New Orleans to New England English up in Boston, Massachusetts. 2 different dialects. Is still English, but they won't interfere with each other.
Yeah, we've got a good friend of the program, Bobby Huntley. He's up in Boston.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking
we're going to hear that one all the time.
Yeah, we're going to hear.
Well, and no disrespect to the gentleman up in Boston, but they think I got a funny accent when I go up there. So, of course, I can't hardly understand the Cajuns down in New Orleans when I go down there to do training. So, but it's still all English, so you can have them setting side by side where they won't interfere. So, no. Now you've got sensors that are dual frequency, 315 and 433, depending on what you need to use on a particular vehicle, and only stock one sensor. So that's those are some of the things that are out there. Just to give you an example of OEMs that we do business with, everything from Fiat to Alfa Romeo to Volvo. And again, you heard me mention Polaris, the Victory motorcycles, as well as the new Indians now have TPMS on them, and they use our tools to test them before they even leave the factory.
Wow.
Our main flagship tool in the aftermarket, ATEQ branded, is what we call the VT56. This same body style and platform and hardware of tool is also the factory GM tool, as well as the factory Chrysler tool. It has the capability of not only doing the simple quick checks, complete service relearns, it has relearn instructions. So if you've got a new technician, he can pick this tool up and it will literally handhold him through the entire process from start to finish. Again, you can see where we can program 27 to 28 different universal sensor brands, as well as talk to every OEM sensor out on the market today. Again, we talked about the trailer TPMS. We actually have a tab there now on the new tool, the new software, where you see search up here on the upper right-hand corner. Now that is actually trailer TPMS. It's one of the few tools that I can read. You can come in and see me today, Eric. I can read all 4 sensors, and we can order you a new set of tires and wheels. I can program them up, ready to speak to your vehicle, and have them ready in 2 days when they get in. When all you have to do is drive in, I can throw them on and do a 6-minute relearn, and we're done.
Wow.
I can program the sensors from memory. This is a total tire management tool, because the other thing that's really cool about this tool is with an accessory, and I'll go through that here in a minute. It can now actually utilize the screen to see tread depth measurements of the tires, as well as be able to activate the TPMS sensors and record that information and give the customer a full documentation of what's going on with their tires, as well as their sensors within the wheels. It is the only tool that has the ability to switch geographies that is on the market today. And what I mean by that is, and I really think this is a cool thing, because back in the day, we go back to the early 2000s when I was selling scan tools for a little company called Bosch. I would invariably run into what we call a gray model car, especially if we got around the Air Force base or some of the Navy bases. And here in the Midwest where I live, there are several military bases. And what would happen is, if an enlisted man, such as yourself, Eric, were enlisted and went over to Germany and bought a 3 Series BMW, and you got shipped back stateside after your tour of duty was over, you wanted to bring that car back with you, you could pay to bring it back. The problem of it is U.S. model vehicle tools will not work on that German vehicle. Even though you can buy a 3 Series BMW here, they don't talk the same language. Again, we're talking 2 different dialects of German again. You can go under our tool under settings. I can pick Europe, go back into that same 3 Series BMW and talk to it and start working on it just like as if I was in Wiesbaden, Germany at the dealership. It's one of the very few tools in the market that has that capability.
That's pretty cool.
It supports 26 different languages already in the tool.
Yeah.
Basic training tips, again, for a new technician. What is an auto relearn? What is a stationary relearn? What is an OBD relearn? We actually have instructions on the tool under the training tips to be able to help the technician. Again, from a beginner to an experienced technician, this has been the mainstay tool that literally every major player in the tire business goes for. A new tool that we've just came out with as of SEMA last year, November last year, is you can see it looks a lot like the previous one that I showed you, the VT56, our new VT57. One of the things we've said about it, and I'll actually hold it up here in front of my screen just so you can see it.
The tool really does exist.
Yes, it does. They said because of the screen so big, why wasn't it touchscreen when we're looking at the VT56? So customers asked, we responded. It is now touchscreen. Has all the same capabilities as our VT56, but now has touchscreen. So that one of the things we talked about. One of the other things on both the VT56 and the VT57, what is the OE part number in that wheel when it comes to that TPMS sensor? You can actually look that up on the tool. So it actually has a parts catalog in it, as well as service information built right into the tool. Now we're going to talk about how the flow of the tool and how easy it is. And some of you watching, if you've used the Snap-on tool or if you've used a Matco tool, or used some of the other brands that we've talked about earlier, you're going to see where the menu flow is a lot similar. Check TPM. we always like to talk about this being a pre-service check. You know, what's going on with the vehicle before my technician starts to work on it, so we don't get blamed for breaking something. You know, so many times the technician will bring it out and say can't get the light out because we found a sensor bad, and the customer's going to say, well, the light wasn't on when I brought it in. This is why we put a pre-service check or check TPM in. So you do what, quote unquote, some people like to quote, test before you touch, so you don't own somebody else's problem. So this is why it's there. We make it very simple. There's two ways to navigate the tool. Once we get into this, we can do what we call VIN scan, or we can do make, model, and year. And just to give you a quick example, I'm going to hold up, here's the VT56, and I'm going to go into check TPM, and you can see over here where it says manual, and then over here it says VIN scan. So if I go manual, I go ahead and do it like I would any other tool out there. I'll pick the make, model, and year. Or if I go over here and I'm going to highlight the VIN scan and say, okay, now, then I'll purposely hold my hand up here so you can see it's actually going to take a laser and scan that barcode on the door sticker when you open that door and pick the make, model, and year. That is the most accurate way to be able to use a tool if it has that capability, because if there's a split model year where they've changed something halfway through year, it'll be buried into that barcode. And it won't say this is a split model year on that door sticker, but it'll be buried into that barcode because the dealerships and the factory use that to determine what's going on. Even with the new GMs that have gone with the QR codes, they bury even a lot more information into that QR code on that sticker. And the new VT57 and a later model VT56 will read that QR code and find that information very quickly and very easily and say, oh, I'm working on a 2014 GMC Acadia. Yep, let's move on. And I've skipped about 4 screens in the tool instead of having to pick the make, model, and year myself. So again, here's just a quick screen of how to go through that check TPM. And this is the same thing when you go into service, but you can either pick VIN scan, which is the arrow down, and use the VIN scan, or arrow up, and I can pick my make, model, and year. And then I'm at the screen where I can now start reading the sensors and test them so I can find out if they're good or bad, or if there's any issues that I need to be looking at. Again, showing how it works on the actual door sticker and reads that barcode to be able to select that. It's very quick. It's very easy. I always tell technicians they can't get it to work right off the get-go. I tell them to start at about an inch and a half away from that thing and just slowly pull the tool back as that laser's shooting out there, and it'll pick it up within 2 to 3 seconds. Again, service menu on the tool. Again, we'll follow the same style of menu path. Here's where I'm going to do the actual work. We're doing a tire rotation. I need to reset the system, or if I've replaced the sensor and I need to do a relearn because of to initiate the new sensor in, again, I'll pick manual, make, model, and year, or do the VIN scan and walk my way through it. Now, one of the things I want to talk about here on this particular vehicle is here's where I say we talked earlier about the 90% plus of OBD coverage. We call it bonus coverage because this one here, and I have to look at the slide. Okay, this is the Toyota RAV4, so it requires an OBD2 connect. But because it is a RAV4, also the ability to do placard changing too. And we'll talk about that in a scenario at the very end of this presentation. Again, under service, these are just some of the things that are tabbed out. Not only what that relearn instruction is to be able to do it through the OBD, or if there is a manual relearn process for that, such as my Dodge pickup, it would be spelled out what the OE says it should be. So again, I don't have to go to any kind of service manual. Everything the technician needs to know with dealing with any kind of TPMS or TPMS system is automatically built into the tool by make, model, and year. The other thing cool about this particular tool, and We literally spend a lot of time at the Detroit Metro Airport validating this information every year. Where is the connector positioned? Is it to the very far left? Is it close up to the left side of the steering column? Is it just on the right side of the steering column? Or is it clear up against the bolster next to the console? Because we actually make sure that that picture mimics exactly what that vehicle has. So again, we try to simplify things for it. Key fob testing. Why do I need to know about key fob testing? Well, you can take that key fob of that Chevy Silverado, and just because you can hold it right up against the door and hit the unlock button and it unlocks the car, it may not have enough power strength to put it into learn mode, because you're just using a lock or the unlock button, not at the same time. When you put into learn mode, you have to use both buttons, so it requires additional power strength to be able to send the required message to the ECU to put it into learn mode. I may need to check the battery strength. Signal strength. Let's back it up 2 feet and see how good it works versus right up against the door. You may need to sell them a $2 battery and sell it to them for $10 and fix the problem so you can finish the process. Again, it's all about making money here, folks. So we need to be thinking about this. Again, we talked about earlier about the parts catalog and having to catalog all this data, making sure that the OE part numbers as well as all the aftermarket part numbers are accurately cataloged in the tool to make your job easier. Again, help section. Little tidbits of information, especially things that we found known about a particular vehicle or something customary that the OE has said, you need to do this before you do this. We put it here. And lastly, placard pressure. Placard pressure giving you the ability to change what the door sticker says. You know, and a classic example would be a 2013 Chevy Silverado. The placard pressure on that particular vehicle is 35 PSI. But if you've got a son like mine that decides he likes to put a 3-inch lift on his pickup and put some 33 1250 by 20s on it, and then he went with a Nitto Terra Grappler, which the only thing you can get in that size for that pickup is an LT tire, not a P metric, which is what came factory on the factory wheels. Recommended tire pressure for that particular tire on that application now requires 50 to 50 PSI to accurately run correctly and not cause improper tire wear. Problem of it is, you air that tire up to 55 PSI, you've now violated the federal law because you have now turned the TPMS light on, because General Motors is notoriously bad for not only 25% below the door sticker pressure placard, it turns the light on, it will turn it on 25% above. So with that being said, you take the tool, you go in and adjust the placard pressure for that tire as if it were an OEM one-to-one fitment as a factory replacement tire. So that way it monitors it correctly and accurately, giving the customer what they want, but doing the job and being in compliance with the federal law. The other thing is, and why I pick on this 2013 Chevy Silverado, because that's exactly what my son did. Then calls me and says, "You got one of them tools laying around, Dad, I could borrow?" Why? The Chevy dealership wants $125 to turn my light off. My son had never used a tool. I was literally in West Palm Beach, Florida, doing a training for our buddy Will Esch, Marvin. And he calls me on a break and he asked me this, and literally he'd never used a tool. And in 10 minutes, I had walked him through it over the phone and he'd fixed his problem. That's how easy it is to use, gentlemen.
Cool. Way cool. Way cool.
Again, showing how to do the OBD relearn. One of the things that I will point out, you'll see right here in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Anytime you hook our cable up to the tool, it says OBD2. So the tool recognizes it. You know, we don't use just a standard cable like other tool manufacturers do, because, all right, we've got a processor and a computer inside to this tool that handles all the information in the data. We have another microprocessor out here in the cable. So that way it'll process and pass that information twice as fast as any other tool out there on the market. Again, it's all about speed. Again, program. We talked about universal sensors. Two ways. Most tools say, okay, make, model, and year, you want to program a sensor. What brand do you want to do? And it better be on the tool. I will tell you that on our tool, there's only 3 sensor brands not on the tool that are out there available for you to purchase through any kind of a source, whether it be a tire wholesaler, an auto parts store, or half the stuff you'll find on the internet and buy off of eBay, you can program with our tool. You can pick that brand and then pick your make, model, and year, or pick the make, model, and year and the brand, or go into history because you've already serviced it once and read the sensors, and then just pick your brand of sensor and program up a set of sensors. So we give you a lot of different ways to be able to do that. Again, and here's just showing where I went in and picked a Dodge Grand Caravan, and I could program the sensors right from the information in the tool, and I saw the vehicle last week. I don't have to have the vehicle here. Now, one of the other cool things that we do to help you, I can program one sensor because we just had a flat and we tore up a sensor, and I can replace that one. I can, if I'm changing a tire, or I bust a sensor when I pull the tire off because they had a nail in it, I can copy that sensor, even though it won't hold air and it's still readable. I can copy that information right off of that sensor right into the new sensor. I can, you want a whole new set, and when you get a new set of custom wheels and tires like my son did, we just programmed up 4 new sensors and put them in these new wheels, and done deal. I have the ability with our tool is go in and this is what I really like, is being able to retrieve that ID, tie into the ECU, read out the OE part numbers that are already loaded, the sensor IDs, copy them into the tool, and then, for lack of a better word, paste them into the new set. And that way the vehicle doesn't even know I changed the wheels out, because they're looking at the IDs as phone numbers to dial in and talk to all the time. I can go around the vehicle, read 4, copy them into the tool, and then paste that, for lack of a better word, into a new set. And if you're really good and have really good eyesight, because I'm an older guy and I may not look like I'm wearing glasses, but I poke in every morning the bifocal contacts. My eyes aren't good enough to read that ID number on the back of that sensor because it's about a 3.5 pitch font, real small. You want to get a magnifying glass out in a flashlight to read it? I might be able to do it then. We even give you the ability to manually enter that ID of that old sensor into the new sensor. Again, giving you a lot of options, not telling you how to do it, but giving you several options on how you want to do it. Again, tire tread. This is something really big, especially when we start looking at, and I find this to be more prevalent because, again, we're not inventing more customers going into the shop. One of the big things that has been talked about management of tire shops and service facilities is not about how many ROIs or invoices I do a day, but what is the quality of that invoice without gouging your customer. So I do understand a little bit about that. So having that ability to do that full service inspection, a lot of places are doing a 23, 21, 28, 30-point inspection, checking the tire tread, checking the lights, and this kind of thing. And here's where you can actually do that with an accessory with our tool. And you can see it plugging in here to the base of the tool into the same connection that we plug in the OBD module to, and literally go around. It's plug and play, and I can literally document the tire tread, three-point inspection on every tire. And to go around and read all 4 sensors and do this takes me less than about 2 minutes. So giving you that capability and showing the customer, that inner one on the left front, so we've got an alignment issue because we're showing 430 seconds where the rest of it's a lot better, where, not only be able to sell more services, but point out to the customer, we really need to get that tire off the front end too. So better service your customer without gouging them, but opening up more opportunities to make more money.
That's really cool. I like that feature a lot.
Oh, it's super easy. And when you show a customer how easy it is, and they're already in the mind to buy the tool or already had the tool and didn't even know this was available, I just, if they've already got the tool, they said, just send me one. They don't even ask what the price is. Because it makes sense, especially if they're selling tires or they're doing any kind of full service inspections for customers. I got a couple of customers here locally that they're really good about, people wanting to go buy new or used car. They'll go through and do that inspection and make recommendations. They charge the customer $50 to do it, but they're literally checking the car out while the customer's out test driving before they make a deal to buy the car. This is something that they do, and they document it, so that way they can take it back to the dealership and say, well, it's going to need tires and alignment. I already see that. I've already had it looked at. And they either deal right there and get it knocked off the price or make the dealer put tires and have an alignment done on it. Again, so this works out really nice when you have that ability to be able to produce that kind of documentation for the consumer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, don't know how much you guys, Marvin and Eric, how much you've talked to some of your guys about secure gateway, especially with Chrysler vehicles.
I don't think it's something we've ever really talked about.
Secure gateway. The big issue and where this all started was, a few years ago, a Tesla got hacked and it ran over a lady out in California because it got taken over by the computer system. So everybody got into hue and cry and wanted to make sure we, as we move forward into the autonomous type vehicles and more computerized, we had to lock the system down. Well, most manufacturers did it and without anybody ever knowing it. Chrysler, on the other hand, locked it down right at the OBD2 connector. And if you don't have secure gateway access on your full service scan tool, your SOL will being able to talk to that other than read diagnostic trouble codes. You have a hard time even reading live data on that vehicle, and you sure as heck can't clear any codes, let alone have any kind of bidirectional controls. So why I point this out and I talk about Chrysler vehicles, because in 17, when they started playing with this, I could read out, just like I could read a diagnostic trouble code, couldn't clear it, but I could read it. I can read the IDs out of the vehicle. Even if the sensor's dead, I can read what was in that wheel position, because what was stored in that wheel position as far as the computer's concerned. I can program that ID into a new sensor and put it back on, and the car just thinks that the sensor woke back up and started talking again. This is why I like the retrieve ID functionality, because it can save me a lot of headache if I don't have a tool that has secure gateway access, like the new Snap-on diagnostic scanner or the big new Bosch diagnostic underhood scanner. Mm-hmm. Again, one of the last little things I do want to talk about, we're into the, and I hope I'm staying on time, Eric.
We're fine.
Okay. One of the things I want to talk about here, Toyota and Lexus. Car comes in with the TPMS light on. You find out it has a bad sensor, so you replace that sensor. You program it so it'll talk to the vehicle. You go to do the relearn and the light doesn't go out. So you think, okay, I'll go drive it for a little bit. And it still doesn't go out. So the next thing the technician's doing, he's cussing the auto parts store. He's cussing the people he bought the tool from. It's neither's fault. The problem of it is, and I'm going to pick on Marvin because he's probably older like me when it comes to age and being in this business. You remember back in the OBD1 days when we went to clear codes on Fords? We took the two battery cables together.
Geez. Yeah. You're dating me there, Dennis. That's not fair.
Hey, I'm in that boat with you, brother.
Yeah.
Eric's not old enough to understand that. Sorry.
No, but I do have a 1985 Buick Regal with that I've gone through some effort to decomputer that electronically controlled carburetor.
Well, the reason why we took in the old days on the old Fords, we took the positive and the negative battery cables, held them together for 10 seconds, was to discharge a capacitor in the ECU to erase its short-term memory.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, and that's basically what has to happen on the Toyota, because when you do the relearn and introduce a new sensor, if that sensor has been dead for anywhere from 2 to 5 key cycles, what I like to say is the ECU gets tunnel vision. So it gets its blinders on. No matter what's happening over here, it's ignoring it. So when you introduce that new sensor, it says, Eric, too bad. I don't care what you want. I'm looking for sensor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to call back in. And I'm going to ignore you until this sensor comes in. Well, if it's
I
dead,
ignore my computer too. So,
but if it's dead, it's not going to report in. So
right.
Instead of telling the technician, take a paper clip and shove it in one pin or in the of the OBD2 connector and another pin of the OBD2 connector, I don't like doing that. So what we did, we built it into the tool, as you'll see there, and I'll get into the next screen. See that little padlock? It says ECU unlock. The tool does it for the technician, simplifying the process, literally to the point. Okay, there's your ECU unlock. You highlight it, you hit OK. It tells you to literally, it handholds you, shows you to plug the OBD2 module and cable into the tool and plug it into the car. It even shows you where to plug it into the car. And then hit OK again. Unlock ECU processing. From the time I hit that ECU unlock until it jumps back to this screen again, it takes about 45 seconds. Once that happens, then I can do the relearn because I've erased the memory. I've erased all the sensor IDs. Now I have to reload the system. But again, by doing that, you'll complete the relearn in about 2 minutes. The idea of it is, and I teach technicians this all the time, and this is why I decided to put this in this presentation tonight. We used to teach this 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, and we got away from it. We thought all the technicians knew that that feature was there and needed to be done on all Toyotas and Lexuses. And in the last 6 months, I've probably had this pop up in my face about 15 times. The next generation of technicians, I forgot all about them. The technicians we trained 8-10 years ago may not be doing all that tire work now. They've advanced into diagnostics, or they've moved on into sales positions within that tire store. So we're training a whole new breed. So I felt this important to bring this up, because if you've ever had a problem with a Toyota or a Lexus, chances are this is what the problem was. So earlier we talked about placard pressure. And you're going to see this on a lot of tools and on our tool as well. Having that ability to go into that Silverado and change the placard. And literally you press the, highlight this tab here where I've got the arrow, because you've already got it set up for make, model, and year. It will show you the screen of hooking the cable up and hooking to the car. Once you've done that, you hit OK. It will talk to the control module and tell you what's stored in the ECU. You go in there, highlight it, and you arrow up and arrow down to change that pressure on both front and rear axle. And why it's not one pressure for both, Ford had to screw that up. They went and did that when they came out with the 3/4 ton with 65 PSI in the front and 80 PSI in the rear. Now, what really throws a technician off is that the first thing they'll do when that vehicle comes in for a PM, they'll start draining the oil. They'll check all the tire pressures. And as soon as they drain the oil, so right before they drop it all the way to the ground, that's when they rotate the tires. The problem of it is they check the fronts at 65, check the rears at 80, and then they swap them. Well, guess what? You already caused the light to come on. But that's how we were trained 30 years ago to do the job. You can't do that on Ford 3/4 tons anymore. You rotate and then check the pressures. Then finish your PM and then do the relearn. But anyway, the point is that's why you have a front axle PSI and a rear axle PSI. Literally, you set those, You hit OK, it writes to the ECU. And again, from start to finish on this process, you're talking less than 2 minutes. And again, you heard me say what the Chevy dealership was going to charge my son 4 years ago, $125 for 6 minutes worth of work. Literally 6 minutes. So with that being said, those are the two probably main things that I like to point out with our tools. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, we've got a question from the page itself asking, where do we find this great tool? Because it sure does a lot of great things.
Okay. You can probably buy the tool at just about any major retailer. Advanced Auto Parts, Napa sells it. CarQuest sells it. If you buy tires from American Tire Distributors and NTW, you can get it there. If you do business with some of the mobile dealers, you can buy it through them. Snap-on can offer this tool or theirs. Still has the same functionality. If they have a Matco dealer calling on them, their Matco tool has the same functionality that we've been talking about. I just like this tool because it's got a bigger screen for my blind eyes because I'm an old guy.
We like to see what we're working on.
What's that? We
like to be able to see what we're working on too.
I mean to tell you. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to go about it. You can actually go to our website, ATEQ's website, and there's a locator there of distributors in your local area, and find who can sell you the tool.
That works. Now, rolling through the chat bleachers a little bit, I put up a poll saying, did you guys know there was this much to TPMS? Because I sure didn't. And half of them said, yeah, we knew there was a lot to TPMS. And the other half's like, no, I had no idea there was this much to it. There's a lot going on there, Dennis. I'm
again
impressed.
This is, I've been accused that I could talk about TPMS all day long without taking a breath. But there's that much out there to talk about. I mean, we could go through and I could come up with probably, if I put my head to it, I could probably come up with 25 or 30 other scenarios, such as, the ECU unlock or placard adjusting, where we've walked through and done things. Right. You heard me talk a little bit earlier about the Winnebago ProMaster that got called a Rome when it became a Winnebago motorhome. And now they're making a national park edition that gets custom wheels on it. So now we're changing sensors, and they use some German sensor off of a Maserati because it's part of the Chrysler family into that, instead of what you'd normally see in a ProMaster chassis that's delivering your Amazon packages.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And it's constantly a moving target. And one thing I will say with ATEQ TPMS tools, if you need help, we have a tech support department that's open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And we're the only tech support and TPMS company that offers Saturday as well, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So at least that way it covers the West Coast guys until noon.
Yeah. That's impressive. Do we need the screen share up anymore?
No, I can get rid of it.
Fantastic. Got it.
There you go.
Dropped it from the stream there. Let's see. Let me roll back through here. One of the guys says, great info, Dennis. Thank you. I have a 2011 RAV4 with all of the sensors dead. Matt, we know what you're going to be getting now. Ooh, Will Hall comes back and says, been a mechanic for years, but the new business owner is looking for more info to make us a better choice than competitors. Got to look for every advantage in today's economy. Yeah, absolutely. I think, Will, this is definitely one of those ways that you can do it and, show value, especially, being able to show that the tire tread depth, to get the before you even work on it, check and say, hey, this is what we found before we even started. That's a good CYA maneuver.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
I know we've got quite a few guys, like there's shop software like Shop Monkey out there that's letting you, walk around with your tablet and do a visual inspection and show, each and every defect, and hey, here's what we're working on. This is the before condition. Here's what we're doing. Here's the the after condition. Man, there's just a lot of things going on that cover your backsides, guys. We don't need insurance difficulties in today's world.
No, well, let's not even get even close to that point and cause a disgruntled customer.
Yes.
Let's be proactive about it and show that we are professional and looking at all of these things and documenting them. We don't have to tell them we're doing it for CYA for our own benefit. We're doing this as a service to you, Mr. Customer, because we value your business. And yes, I'm covering my behind it in the process too.
Yep.
And it's the right thing to do.
Most definitely, absolutely. Marvin.
Yeah.
Let's see. No, I think that pretty much covered everything we've got.
Real good stuff, Dennis.
Yeah, that is unbelievable how all that thing does. My goodness.
Yeah, impressive.
Oh yeah, and I probably only went through about 50% of the tool.
What's the average price out there retail?
List price on the VT56 1002 kit is list price, and you can usually find it less than that. Is $12.99.
Okay, it's doable. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. That's great.
I'm out there looking to see what, just hit the Google search and just see what's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great training, great tool. Really appreciate that, Dennis. It was an eye opener.
No, not a problem.
Yep. Well, thank you very much, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with us on this. Sometimes TPMS is like, man, why do we mess with that? Well, there's a good reason. And
yeah, it's great
we
stuff.
now found out why. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks.